Welcome to the Fundraising Leadership Podcast, episode 11. I'm Janice.
And I'm David. Hey, Janice. I was hesitating there, so sorry for the dead air. It's one of those Friday mornings when I didn't get home till 12:30 last night, so my brain isn't quite functioning. But I appreciate being on the podcast with you today. You wrote a really powerful blog post this week. That is entitled 5 Ways to Grow as a Leader. So why don't you share with the audience like these 5 ways that they can grow as leaders?
Yeah, so we, as I said in the blog post, I think, you and Sylvie and I really came together because of our love of, learning and having new experiences. And we all love to continue to take courses and to read. And then we wanted to highlight sort of things that we have personally been through and continue to do to try and grow ourselves. So the first one is to really start with just like assessing yourself. And we point people to our assessment, which was actually a passionate idea that you had, David, to create that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where that came
Yeah, we did. It was really enjoyable experience to create with you that assessment, the 9 essential qualities for nonprofit leaders. And it is based on our shared wisdom. I think that you and I have around working in the nonprofit sector for many years and working with leaders in the nonprofit sector. So we're not going to reveal today what those 9 qualities are. If you go to the website, read the blog post, there's a link there. It's completely free. Yeah. Just go ahead and take the assessment and see how you measure up on those 9 qualities. And you may be surprised of where you're falling a little short.
Yeah, and so the idea really then is, we give some suggestions on what you can do. You can either build on your strengths or you can address some weaknesses that you have.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we go into, once we've sort of looked within ourselves, it's helpful to go out and ask other people, so, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth in a few minutes, but that's our second tip. It's really to get out, go to your colleagues, go to your direct reports, and go to your own boss and get specific feedback. And then we talk about someone that we really like, Shirzad Shameen, who has this great assessment that you can take to really identify your saboteurs, which are, the kind of patterns we build in childhood where we create these limiting patterns of thinking and feeling and acting. And Shirzad's someone that we've both seen speak and feel very highly that he's done an amazing job of kind of making it easy for people. I think it can be difficult to figure out what our limitations are. So he has this another free assessment that people can take.
Yeah, I just want to pause there and acknowledge you. You actually brought Shirzad to Toronto and personally invited him and hosted him for an International Coach Federation meeting, and where he gave a talk about the saboteurs. And these saboteurs are ways that we sort of unconsciously sabotage ourselves. And the assessment that he created based on the best-selling book that he wrote and published called Positive Intelligence, which I recommend to the audience. It's what got me into coaching. That assessment is very, very good. And I am certain that if you just take 5 minutes and go to his website and do that assessment, it's going to reveal some things in your blind spot. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a very, very charming, very nice man. So it was wonderful to have him here in Toronto.
He is a very sweet guy. Yeah.
And then the next thing is to, think about like whether maybe you've been playing it a little safe, being as I like to be from my saboteur, being in the comfort zone. So to think about taking a risk. And, one of the things I mentioned is that could be really directly related to career. Like maybe you want to go to your boss and ask for like a new project to take on that you've never done before. You might want to go after a promotion. But it can also be fun. Like one thing we've both done in the last couple of years is improv classes.
Right.
For a lot of adults is quite risky, right? To sort of
Oh
show
my
up,
God. Yeah.
be in that
Take,
space of,
taking risk all the time in improv. Yeah.
so
You
that's
know what? I like to maybe reframe. I love the way you framed it in the blog post on taking a risk. That can be scary for people. So one way of reframing that is to say, like, go do some experiments.
mhm.
Like, be a scientist of your own career. um, like have a beginner's mind about things. So if risk is a word that's a little scary for you, like you could look at it like when you were in high school or middle school and you were in the lab and you didn't know how to do anything, but you went ahead and tried anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I like that because that sort of speaks to your background. So you often bring that up with Sylvie and I to help us. Like it's just an experiment. We're gonna see what happens. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, cool.
And then the last one is really sort of inspired by the work of Adam Grant, who wrote a great best-selling book, Give and Take. And it's the
Mm.
idea to really, we're all in the nonprofit sector. I think most of us are giving, but to really think about giving in a way that also kind of nurtures and supports yourself, because sometimes some of us give too much. And
Mhm.
one of the things I love is he talks about the idea of really being that connector. So, if you think about mentoring, which is a wonderful thing, and I do some mentoring, but sometimes there can be too much of that. So one thing you can do is if you feel a little overwhelmed and you don't have much time is you could take like 6 young people out for coffee, and introduce them, or you can just make connections to people, which I know is something you've been really enjoying doing, David, over the last couple of years, like trying to connect people who can help each other.
Yep, that's absolutely true, and it's something just connecting people. And you, by the way, you are an amazing connector, also, and so I want to acknowledge you for that. But it's just like sort of like, oh, like just thinking about people. Oh, I think that these two people would be really cool to introduce to each other, and some really good stuff comes out of that. I will also say that many of my coaching clients who are leaders in the nonprofit world who take that saboteur assessment usually score pretty highly on one of the saboteurs called the pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And that can, wanting to please all of the people all the time can be very draining. So these two things are connected, what you wrote about in terms of giving of yourself. Yes, we want to do that. And we have to also learn how to say no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Give of ourselves in a way that actually, in the long run, serves us and others. So,
Absolutely. All
yeah.
right.
So we wanted to. What we're going to do is dive a little bit deeper into the feedback. That's what we want to kind of get into, and then we're going to make a challenge for you all
Yeah.
to do something.
Yeah, let's pick up on one of the suggestions you had in the article on giving and receiving feedback, and then give the audience an exercise to do. So in the leadership program that you and I participated in, we had the opportunity to receive feedback from 24 other leaders. This is after we had spent considerable amount of time and training together, probably on the order of, we had been together at least for 6 months, right,
Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
program.
They've seen us
And
at our best. They've seen us at our worst.
oh yeah.
It's residential too, so we were all there. We were sleeping together at the sort of site, and we were eating our meals together, and we were doing very challenging.
Let's just be clear though, the women were sleeping with the women and the men were sleeping with the men.
Yeah.
Just like, we don't want to give the audience any crazy ideas. Anyway, so the exercise of feedback went something like this, and you can use this structure. Like the feedback goes like this: you flop as a leader when, that's like then the piece of feedback comes out of your mouth. um, the impact you are unaware of is, and then whatever the impact you're unaware of is, and then you succeed as a leader when, and then the person says how you're successful. So that's the exercise. So why don't you share, Janice, some of the feedback you got?
Yeah. So I got you flop as a leader when you get hooked and you don't recover.
Mhm.
I got an unintended sort of like the impact that I sort of knew, but wasn't fully aware of the power of it, was that I create this real sense of spaciousness, which then
Mhm.
leads to trust within a team. And the part when I succeed is when I can be in my more playful self.
Yeah.
And so I'll say that for me, I'll just unpack one of them a little bit, which is the first one in terms of like flopping. Um, I do remember like getting a very specific piece of feedback around this idea of getting hooked. We were trying to accomplish something, as a group in that leadership program, and I was not buying into it, being very judgmental. And so I kind of, I opted out, which sometimes happens. Like you're in a meeting and it's like, I'm not into what's happening here. So you feel like nobody's noticing and you're, just being quiet, whatever. And somebody came up to me. We did not succeed in doing what we were supposed to do together. And they said, you really had an impact on us not achieving that, because this energy was radiating out of you as judgment.
Mm.
And that really hit home to me, to realize like sometimes we think, sometimes maybe we make up that when we do something we have an impact, but we forget that when also just our feelings and energy can have a very powerful impact, both positively
Yeah.
and negatively.
Yeah, no, you're always having an impact, that's for sure. And so that sounds like that was some great feedback for you. And also, I want to share with the audience what you wrote in the blog post about like feedback being like a sweater you get from your aunt. That you keep getting that same sweater or every Christmas, and okay, you can try it on, but you don't have to wear it out to a party, unless you go into that kind of party.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The ugly sweater party.
So yeah, the ugly sweater party. True. So the invitation here is for you to seek this feedback and then try it on and see if it fits.
Yeah.
Like one piece of feedback that I got in the leadership program was also on this the impact that I'm unaware of, that I'll talk a little bit about, and it has to do with like sometimes I show up because of who I am. Like I can handle a lot of stuff. I could just handle it, and I will handle it. And the I would like wasn't even aware, like it's so unconscious for me that that's the way sometimes I show up, like that it sucks out all the air in the room because people just look, oh, David will handle it. David will handle it. David can handle it. Let's give it to David. He can handle it. Uh, yeah, he can tie knots blindfolded. He'll handle it, stuff like that, right? And part of the impact on me is like, whoa, I don't want to handle it, so I have to be like really careful and just have like beginner's mind and say, I don't know what to do. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for what I see too is like sometimes then the impact on others can be that other people could step up and they don't,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So I know for me being your business partner, even I get caught up in that sometimes, and then I'm like, oh yeah, no, like he doesn't necessarily know everything.
Exactly. And I don't necessarily want to do everything. So my consciousness around this is like, even if I can figure something out, I just have to say like, yeah, I don't know. Why don't you figure it out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, that was some
Yeah.
good feedback. So why don't we give the audience something to try?
Yeah.
Why don't you give it to them, Janice?
Yeah, so I think, pick someone at work, a colleague, someone that you really trust and who knows you well and has seen you in different situations, and then take these three questions. What I like about having these three questions is sometimes if we ask someone vaguely, like, what could I do better? Or how do you see me as a leader? Like, they're not going to give you anything.
Oh, you're great. No, nothing. You keep doing what you're doing, right?
We've all been there. I've had people ask me that. So, use these three questions. So the three questions will be for them to complete these sentences. You flop as a leader when the impact you might not be aware of is, and you succeed as a leader when.
Yeah. And the invitation here is to not do this by text and not do this by email and not do this on social media for sure. Uh, do this in a confidential way and set up a safe space to get this feedback and do it in person.
Yeah. And the reason we want you to seek feedback is because we think that leaders need to create an environment where feedback is given and received, and it needs to start with you. So that's why
Yeah.
we're challenging you to be the one to go first and to take it and learn from it, and and show people that it's a positive thing to receive feedback.
Yeah, I think it's. I love what you're saying, Janice, because it is a leadership context. It's a way to grow as a leader, is to actually go to colleagues, peers, go to your boss, go to your subordinates, and ask for this kind of feedback, and then try it on, see if it fits, and then wear it around the office.
Exactly.
All
All
right.
right. So we're going to invite you to now go put this into practice.
All right. Thanks. Take care.